Yes, we're down to the Crow's Inner Sanctum with the master of taping and fixing players with thumb injuries, ankle injuries, knees, backs, whatever. Of course, the guinea pig, Richard's been good enough to join me. Mate, just into the microphone, tell us who we're working with, mate. Who are we working with?
We're actually working with Vincent Bono, the head of taping technique.
The master is with us, and we're having a look at the thumbs today. Vinny, sprained the thumb, hit with the footy, hit with the basketball, hit with the netball. How do we tape it?
Okay, so thumb's gone backwards, sideways. They've done some damage to the thumb. We get them into a position if they're holding a can of something, soft drink, or shaking their hand. So we'll
come on, mate, take this seriously.
Come on, work
Some of
with
the athletes are younger than this.
So starting in the inside of the thumb, coming around the wrist, basically performing a figure 8 around the knuckle, nice and slow, coming back around the wrist, not too firm around the wrist. We don't want to stop the blood supply through the wrist. And coming back around the thumb, around the wrist, and then I'll finish off just up the top through here. And that's a basic thumb. That'll stop that movement of going back, which you can see. It'll also stop the sideways movement and give them a bit of support when they catch the ball.
Okay, you know what's really disturbing is that you make that look really easy.
Sorry.
Now, I've tried to do this a couple of times with my daughters, mate, and obviously the guinea pig's not quite as good as Richie here. So if we unravel...
Yeah, just work it backwards.
Just unravel, mate. Oh, don't worry about that, mate. You can tell I'm not big on hair. So, and it's not mine, so I don't get it. Okay. Slow, mate. Give us the slow motion.
Right, yeah, we'll go replay.
Slow.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Yep.
Coming around, through the joint, around the wrist. Not too tight around the wrist, taking tape off the roll. Going over to where we started, around the knuckle joint. One layer around the knuckle joint. Back around, following our original pattern, around the wrist. Coming back around, just performing a figure 8, taking that tape off. Around again, and then finishing off on the wrist there.
Okay, so the first one is set high on the second one around,
Yes.
and then back low on the third one.
Back around, yes.
Oh, come on, mate, be brave. Have you worked with tougher patients?
I have.
Yeah,
This is unbelievable.
A little bit soft.
It is.
Often see people try and do it with this tape, not as thick as this, you know, they have a half the size.
Yeah,
why this tape over that tape?
Well, this is a bit of a stretch. It adds with compression, but it also gives a bit, because a player doesn't want to be too rigid or fixed in marking a football, basketball or netball. They want a bit of support just to stop that movement back and the sideways movement.
All right, while we're on hands, mate, you often get the finger that's fractured, broken, bent back. See people run out and they wrap the tape around it. Is there a right formula, wrong formula?
Look, it depends on the player preference. Ideally, if they've pulled that one out or pulled this one out, you'd want to strap those two together, or you go those two together. It's pretty tough to do those two together purely by the fact of trying to mark a football or basketball or netball. So ideally, you'd go for the two outer ones, assuming we've pulled that finger, dislocated that finger. Back around, just one firm layer around, as such, and then another one just above the nail of that finger, just pretty firm.
I reckon that's a pretty big key, because you often see people try and tape on the knuckle where it's done, don't they?
Correct, and you don't want the knuckle, and they can play with that, and they've also still got movement to mark the ball.
Big one you see a bit, I don't know, you know, you've got the docs here to help you, but again at the local netball game, basketball game, he pops this finger, and the number of people you see run out and try and leave it alone? Leave it alone,
unless you've got someone professional that can pop that finger back in, then do it, because if not, you'll do a lot of damage through the tendons and ligaments through that joint there. And nine times out of 10, the tendon or ligament could have been pulled right off and have surgery on it, which is usually 8 weeks.
Well, there you have it from the master. Fingers, leave that knuckle alone. Thumb, 3 time around. We'll take a break. Back with more in a minute.